Captain's Log, Episode 40. This week's episode of the Beer Vengers podcast is sponsored by Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars, located at 35-11 Ditmars Boulevard in Astoria, Queens, now open 7 days a week with outdoor and indoor dining. Enjoy the eclectic array of craft beer, artisanal cheeses, and specialty grocery items at Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars, home bar to yours truly, Captain Porter Brown Stout. This week, Beer Wonder joins the captain for another day drinking session with exciting new pours and reminiscences. We're in a celebrating mood because we just came from birthday parties for two Beer Venger favorites, the Pony Bar and Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars. Want to know the details? You've come to the right place. Remember to like, star, and subscribe us whenever that feels appropriate. And send us your emails at thebeervengers@gmail.com if you have any questions, suggestions, or if you just like hearing us talk about you on the show. And now, without further ado, please enjoy episode 40. You say it's your birthday?
Well, we're the Beer Vengers, Beer Vengers, Beer Vengers.
We're the Beer Vengers.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Astoria, I am Captain Porter Brown Stout.
And coming to you from an undisclosed location in the County of Kings, it is I, the Beer Wonder.
And we are
the
Beer
Vengers.
Yeah, that's right. We are the Beer Vengers, and you're the Beer Vengers. Welcome to the Beercast, everyone. It's great to be back again with another exciting installment of Day Drinking with Captain and Beer Wonder. And today we thought we'd have an extra little wrinkle on that. It's not only day drinking, but it's birthday drinking. And
it is. Not any of ours, though, unfortunately.
No, I don't think we need to explain any of it now. Let's add a little reason besides the reason they always come here. Let's give them a little reason to wait and see what that actually means.
All right.
Make a little bit of a teaser, a little bit of a, you can figure out what that is. Some of you probably already know, but we don't have a lot of suspense here, so we take it where we can get it. How you doing today, Beer Wonder?
I'm doing okay. It is warm in Gotham. It is
very warm.
Yeah, I was running some errands before I came in. I've earned this beverage today. I think my old Apple Watch tells me it is 80 or 91 degrees currently, but it definitely feels hotter than that out there.
Yeah, and this is I think like a 3-day stretch of it too, isn't it? Or it's the second of a 3-day stretch. Maybe it wasn't quite as bad on Sunday. I don't know. It's bad. Anyone who's listening to this, hopefully this is a distant memory by the time this is, and we're all dealing with unseasonably cool temperatures again. But right now it's fucking hot.
Well, they tell you not to hydrate with beer when it's really, really hot outside, but that just seems like the correct response to this kind of weather. So a 12:09 drink, which is what we're having, doesn't seem too out of place when it feels like it's over 100.
And besides, the Beer Vengers have always been rebels.
It's true.
We've also been contrarians by nature. So I want to see what you have for this 12:09 p.m. beer today, Beer Wonder.
Well, this is a celebration of birthdays, of course. And so I felt that I need a rather festive beer for today's adventures. And in addition to that, there has been a beer that has been, a distant dream for many of our fellow Beer Vengers. I'm thinking of Mother Pucker in this case. It's a beer that came across the Beer Venger sphere once and was very exciting for everyone. And I am delighted to say that this mystery beer is back because today I have from Duclaw Brewing Company the Sour Me Unicorn Farts.
Bless it indeed.
Bless it indeed. Now, as a reminder for some of our newer listeners, what I'm drinking today is a glittered sour ale, and the description is ale brewed with fruity cereal and edible glitter.
And it's delicious beer, at least the last edition I had.
It was. Well, this is new. Duclaw put it out on April 26th of 2021, so it is still kind of new. But let's see what this version of it looks like.
Oh, that's a lovely sound.
I know, and absolutely no escaping foam there, so it's probably what I recall it being.
And so bright and festive.
Mm-hmm.
I can't quite see if any of the glitter's showing up in the glass there.
It will start swirling in just a second. I see a little bit happening now. I'm sure it's difficult to see over the Zoom, but yes, I do see little bits of glitter popping up all throughout the beer.
Wonderful. Yeah, and hold those up together. Let's
Yes,
see that.
exactly. And you can, of course, see the
Because
magical unicorn.
we've got to see that can art. Oh, yeah, that's great with the unicorn farting all over it.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it is hard to see the glitter over the Zoom screen, but it is definitely glittering where I am. So it's got a good nose on it.
Yeah, here's something that I'm not really sure what to do right now
Okay.
because, as it turns out, this has never happened before.
Oh dear.
I have a can of unicorn farts here as well.
What? Oh my goodness!
But this is why it's never happened because we don't discuss what we're going to have before.
No.
So I will have this later because in preparing for situations like this, I always have a backup beer, and this is also a very special beer, and it's not a seasonal beer, but it does fit with a season.
Okay.
I've never had this beer on this one, but I've had it on a podcast. For those of you who haven't heard the episode of Acquired Tastings that I was on, I had this one there, and I'm talking about Evil Twin's Gingerbread Stout.
Ooh, yummy!
I thought I was not going to see this one again, and I was at Astoria Beer and Cheese recently, and Sarah said, "Hey, I've got some of that gingerbread stout you were talking about." So let's do this one here.
Right, good crack on that one too.
Very nice, and let's just take a quick look here.
All right, in the good old Astoria Beer and Cheese glass right there. Oh yeah, look at this one. It's so dark. It's so rich. You've got good head buildup happening there. Look at that. Oh yeah, it looks lovely.
Good, and yet still subtle.
Yeah,
the ABV really, takes care of that.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness.
All right, cheers, Beer Wonder.
Cheers.
Oh, that's really good. It's I'm glad I was able to get some more of this one. Yeah, it's I'm sure I mentioned it for those of our longtime faithful listeners. You've heard me talk about this one. Mm-hmm. This one I picked up a couple of 4-packs of it at Evil Twin when it first came out, and it seemed to go pretty quickly. They certainly don't even have it at the brewery, so I was so happy that they ordered some of this for us at Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars. That's at 35-11 Ditmars in Astoria, Queens. Our sponsor, of course, but this is not it's not a sponsored pour. This is one I paid for myself and gladly paid for myself. It's so good. How does this year's unicorn farts fare there, Beer Wonder?
It's good. It remains that nice tartness, pretty sweet. Of course, it is a visual delightful gag. I don't really taste fruity pebbles as a part of it. It definitely has a nice maltiness to it. What they describe it as when we're getting into their stuff is it's got sort of like a malty biscuity flavor. It's kind of tart. It's got some cherries and tangerines and limes, and I definitely get the citrus. They call it an orange hued beer, but they do add some flaked wheat to it, so it does kind of have a slightly thicker mouthfeel. It's got a little bit more of that viscosity to it, which is kind of nice. It's lovely. It's a 5.5%er. It's got only 10 IBUs, so it's kind of like low on our. It's definitely on the easy drinker list, but it definitely lives up to what Duclaw is all about, which is sort of bucking the man and bucking tradition. And the thing I forgot to mention the last time we talked about this is that this is a collaboration beer for them. However, it is not a collaboration beer with a brewery. It is a collaboration beer with Diablo Donuts, which is a experimental donuttery out in Baltimore. Duclaw is also Baltimore based. And so I checked out their website. They do all sorts of fun, crazy, weird things. They've got an ODB, which is cookies and cream donut. So a chocolate donut with, I think, like powdered cookies on it, cream in the center, and then a single gummy worm. Just one. Just one. But they've got plenty of like weird, crazy, cool, strange things. A delicious looking blueberry and basil donut that I would totally love to check out. But of course, one of their classic donuts is called Unicorn Farts, and it is a yeast donut with vanilla glaze covered in fruity pebbles, and it looks just like you'd expect.
So they do use actual fruity pebbles here, because I notice on the can it's one of those many things where they don't have the trademark to use the name on the can, but it is actual fruity pebbles, or did they recreate their own version of fruity pebbles?
Well, according to Duclaw's website, they are indeed using fruity pebbles. Or at least that is what they listed. It says fruity pebbles cereal is added into the mash, and it's finished off with a sprinkle of natural mineral-based edible glitter. So
very good.
It does sound like there's at least a smattering of cereal in there. And now,
sure.
this is not the first cereal beer we've seen, right? There was a whole trend, I feel like,
Yeah.
a couple of years back of putting different cereals in beer. There was a cinnamon toast crunch beer. I think it was a something darker that may have come across.
Oh, that sounds familiar. Well, yeah, I feel like it. I mean, probably Evil Twin did a version like that.
Of course.
And yeah, I feel like I might have even because Westbrook has their wonderful like Mexican cake and all of that. I feel like they might have done some version of that, or might have even a collaboration between the two. We're really helpful to our beer vendors out there if we could think of any of the official names of this, but I can't.
Exactly. Well, I know there was some brewing that was happening in this way with that in Virginia, because there are a couple Nova breweries that were doing some cereal based beers.
Right.
And I remember when Unicorn Farts kind of took over a few years ago, a couple of the Fruity Pebbles in a beer, a couple of the breweries in Virginia were saying, "Hey, we've been doing this for a while, guys. Come check us out." But it remains delicious. It remains refreshing. It remains light and tart and kind of fruity. A good, easy, light drinking beer. And also I feel filled with the magic of a farting unicorn.
Absolutely. I hope the people we've got a lot of new listeners in Arkansas lately. I'm assuming they might have heard me on that episode of Acquired Tasting, so I hope they don't feel like they're getting a rerun with me taking another dive into the gingerbread stout. What's interesting about this one is that it's made with this similarly it's a collaboration as well, because it is made with one of the oldest bakeries, if not the oldest bakery in Queens, Rudy's, which is a neighbor of theirs out there, and it is made with their gingerbread.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. In fact, when I went out a month or two ago, time is a flat circle, as Matthew McConaughey says in True Detective. But time is also, it's stretching in weird ways these days. So it's like, was that only a month ago? Was that 2 months ago? I don't know. Whenever it was that I biked out to Evil Twin and got some of their wonderful gingerbread stout on the day of the release, they also had some of the Rudy's gingerbread available at the counter as well.
Oh, okay.
I think they had some for free, and they had some you could buy and take home, and it was nice. I have not been to Rudy's, but the next time I'm out at that Evil Twin, not the one near you, I would definitely go into that one as well, the Dumbo one. Next time I'm out of the one at Ridgewood, I definitely want to check out Rudy's.
Yeah, I do love it when breweries pair up with bakeries and other places. I mean, there was a great brewery called Toast that was using bread, like day old bread, to make beer, which was great. And I remember actually coming to a party that you held, Captain. I wanted to bring a fun beer along with me, and I happened to be at Big Alice when they had a donut based stout that they were putting out, and so I remember grabbing it, and every time you bought one of these that day, they were handing you a donut, because it was, I think, National Donut Day.
Yeah, was that the one they had? It was like called Coffee and Donuts.
Yes, I think that was it. It was very good. It was pretty delicious, and the donut itself was pretty incredible. I did forget to ask where specifically that was from, but knowing Big Alice's whole thing, I'm sure it was some local donuttery in Queens. I'm sure you guys have plenty of good ones in
we do.
Fair County.
It's fun. It's funny how, like, we were talking about the various borders of the different places, and Rudy's, or Rudy's specifically, but also this Evil Twin. I keep forgetting that it is in Queens because it's so close to the border of Brooklyn. Like when I make a trip out there, it's just like Queens is so far spreading, and the border of Queens and Brooklyn is so long that I can go out to far reaches of Queens and feel like I'm going to Brooklyn, but it is indeed in Queens. This I should also add some of the flavors in this one that I don't necessarily taste all of, but it says it's cardamom, honey, tutti frutti, which I definitely don't taste, and also some ginger.
There's nutmeg in here.
No, there's no nutmeg. I don't see any nutmeg listed there, but it's
sometimes that shows up unexpectedly.
It really does. I mean, it's there's no nutmeg in this at all, but it would be good, I'm sure. But I think sometimes the cardamom tastes a little bit like.
Now, when you say the flavor tutti frutti, I'm not sure I know what that is.
I'm not sure either. I'm just reading off of their website when I say that.
Okay. I mean, I remember it from jelly beans and thinking it was sort of like halfway between bubblegum and maybe like a cherry or something. I was never quite sure what that was.
Yes. And it's also, curiously enough, in a famous song by Little Richard.
Of course.
In which Rudy is also invoked.
Exactly.
Tutti frutti, oh Rudy.
Oh Rudy.
A wop bop, a loo bop, a lot bamboo. I don't think that's in here, but it definitely has some tutti frutti from Rudy's.
Yes. Well, I mean, there's been a lot of, tutti frutti partying in the last couple weeks because
Boy, there sure has.
it's been a special time for a couple of our favorite watering holes here in Gotham City.
Yeah, we talked a lot last week about how we were just we were celebrating our local favorites that have just survived the last year.
Yeah.
But this has sort of been on another level. We've been going to places who've been survived multiple years and celebrating those milestones, and we've been so excited to be able to go out and celebrate with them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, notably, yesterday, the day before we were recording this, so that's June 29th,
Yes.
the captain, Huck, and I all headed out to one of our old full-time favorite watering holes. You've heard us talk about it way too much, the Pony Bar.
I mean, it's really the Rosetta Stone of our experience. Am I using that right?
I think it works. It translates everything.
It's kind of the
us, yeah.
Rosetta Stone of our inception, our origin, how we all. I mean, it's back in episode 4, I guess it was, where we really discussed it, or was it episode? I can't remember now. It was a while back, but
Yeah.
we've. If you've listened to the podcast, you've heard us talk about the Pony Bar. So this was us celebrating their 12 years as an institution.
Yeah, exactly. And so we headed back there, got there a little bit before their 420 happy hour. The 420 happy hour is still a great deal, $7. Although one big change, of course, I noticed is that now catering to more of an Upper East Side location, and with the competition there is with other craft beer bars, they do now have draft cocktails and plenty of wine, which certainly in the old days was not really the way things went down at Pony, I recall.
Well, it certainly wasn't. I mean, they definitely had. I think they always had cocktails. I think they had liquor behind the bar.
Yeah.
They mostly just did not. They did not have any macros.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, this one might even have less macros than the original. But what's good about that is if you want to go to one of the best craft bar experiences in the city of New York, and you have a friend who doesn't like beer but they love cocktails,
exactly.
you can take them there with you.
Exactly. No, I mean, I think that what Dan and the staff there have done is just fantastic. I mean, it's such a great environment. And I did see plenty of people who were enjoying a cocktail, that evening as a part of the celebration.
Yeah.
And honestly, if we're looking at great deals, to support a local watering hole, $7 right now for a beer in New York City is pretty great. And
it is great. Yeah.
And
even if it is only for an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's 1 hour, so you got to do your work. But also $7 for a cocktail in New York City is a very impressive feat. And I saw some delicious looking Negroni, and I think there was a gin and tonic on tap as well that looked pretty good. But of course, we stuck to beer.
We did, and even though I couldn't do much of the stuff in my general wheelhouse, I had some really wonderful. I had a couple of IPAs and a sour. The one they had on there was pretty exciting, though. They had a 2019 Founders Kentucky Breakfast out there.
So that one was pretty delicious, and it was lovely of you to give me a taste on that one. I had one that I especially wanted to call out, which was from our friends at Equilibrium. It was their Sparticle Physics Pale Ale, which was really delicious. Very traditional pale ale, limited hop profile, very interesting, very drinkable, kind of sweeter, kind of hazier. They were selling them in short pours because it's Equilibrium, and Equilibrium is always pretty incredible. But that was one of my tops from our adventures there yesterday.
That was good. I started out with the heavy dose double IPA from Innerborough, but the most unique, and I think another really good double IPA from Finback, their Permanent Sun. But probably the most unique one I had was a brewery I'm not incredibly familiar with, but Huck was talking about who actually visited there. It was Drowned Lands.
Oh yeah,
and they had it's an Acacia Sour. Oh, and really, really tasty. A nice 7.5%er, and
it's bold for a sour.
Yeah, but it was really great being there and seeing Dan. I know we talked about when you and I went there. This is what I mean about the strange thing about the way time is these days. It was only like 2 months ago that you and I were there for our first time back in a year, but it feels like a lot longer.
It definitely does
to me. I don't know because I know you have a much busier schedule than I do, and which makes me so happy you're still able to make time for this. You can always fit it in here. But I don't know if your perception of time is different from mine, because with mine with so little actual things to do, still, I know a lot of the world is back. Mine is a little less back. I feel like time is stretching out sometimes.
Yeah, I think for me, the big thing I notice is that so many things are changing so rapidly
Yeah.
that for me, even something that happens 2 weeks ago, it does feel like there is a whole new difference now. So that's where, for me, everything feels like, oh, right, that was only 2 months ago, because so much has changed in that time
Oh yeah.
that
Yeah.
it feels like, time is just kind of bolting. I mean, it's moving quickly, even though it's 2 months. So it is weird. But
Right.
yeah, I was going to say, when we went back there, I think that was one of the first times I had had a beverage indoors. The last time we were at Pony,
Yeah, and
and they were
you
still,
were a little hesitant about it as well.
yeah, and they were checking temperatures and all
Contact
that,
tracing.
contact tracing, and the servers were wearing masks and everything. This time it felt like the old Pony.
Yes, I mean there is a sign on the door
Yeah.
specifically saying if you are vaccinated, feel free to go mask free.
Yep,
And
exactly.
I hope that stays because again the way things change and they shift and all of that. As we're recording this now, there's been a new recommendation from the World Health Organization, maybe going in the other direction as far as masks go.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Uh,
the good news is everything we see about that Delta variant, scary though it is, if you are vaccinated, the vaccines are still working. So for the moment, at least.
they are.
Yeah.
I mean, the only way this is going to get a foothold is if it really. I mean, what I read is that like the way these variants survive is the unvaccinated among us.
Yep.
So try
So
not to be one of those people.
yeah. Gotham City's doing great, but we can do better. So if you are
And but there are also even pockets of Gotham that are
exactly.
if you look at it by zip code, uh, it's we're not past this yet.
Nope. Well, we're getting close, but we're not there quite
Getting it.
yet.
We're having a
Yeah,
nice little dress rehearsal for doing it. Hopefully, we don't have to spend a little time in the other direction again. But who
exactly.
knows? I
Well,
mean, I mean, when I saw how it's strange to me how fierce they've been with their lockdowns in Australia,
mhm,
and that now they're like all the major cities now are going into full lockdown again.
right.
But part of that is because their vaccination rates are so low.
Exactly. Yeah. And that I think is sort of the saving grace of us here. And it's where we need to make sure that we stay on that path. I mean, the places where we're really seeing some of these things take hold are parts of the country where people just are not getting vaccinated. And I forget who it was, but a big thing came out saying 99% of those people in the hospital, 99.9% of the people in the hospital had not been vaccinated, and all of them regret it. So I know our podcast is like have drinks and have shots, but the
Yeah,
shots in this case are COVID-19
and then we
vaccines.
can have the other kind of shots together.
Exactly, exactly. Also,
Uh,
I'm sad to say it does not look like the United States is going to, since this will be coming out after July 4th, it does not look like the United States is going to make President Biden's 70% one vaccine marker for all adults, which means that Budweiser is not going to be buying the country around, which sadly means that the Beer Venger sphere is not going to get to see me drink a Budweiser on the show, because that was
yeah.
my wager.
Well, I'm sure you're broken up about that.
I'm tears, deep tears, but also
Now,
get your damn shots.
but yeah, now speaking of that whole thing, the other really great birthday celebration we went to 2 days before we went to the Pony was the 7th anniversary party of Astoria Beer and Cheese.
Yes,
And as we were all gathering out there, because they did 3 seatings, we were in the last seating of the
it was
day,
impressive.
so we're all like gathered. That whole block on Astoria is part of the Open Streets Initiative,
Hmm.
and so on the weekends it's just everyone's just wandering the streets, a big section of there between not all of it, but it's all areas of Ditmars between 31st and Steinway. Not
Mm.
all of it, but like a couple blocks here, a couple blocks there. And so we're all like, all the people who are eagerly awaiting the 7 o'clock seating, we're all hanging out in the street.
Yeah.
And Rick White, who you may have heard if you listened to his episode, came out and he announced that anyone who's vaccinated did not have to wear a mask that whole evening.
Yeah.
And that was our introduction to going in. And boy, that was quite a night.
Oh yeah, it was pretty incredible. I mean, they always do an excellent job, but
They do.
this to me seemed like like a logistical challenge that I'm so impressed that they mastered. Because Captain, I know you've been to more of these than I have, but if I recall, historically it was as much beer as you could drink out of a really well curated list and a massive buffet.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah, and this one had part 1, but not part 2.
Right, exactly.
I'm
That said,
sorry,
I
part
did
2,
not
but
leave
not yeah.
hungry.
No. That what they did was everyone got individual plates of a 5-course meal, There was we've got, I can't even remember what it all was. I remember there being a sandwich. I remember there being a sort of a medium-sized soft pretzel,
Mm-hmm.
a little dessert plate at the end. We
They had
got
a
some,
lovely beer charcuterie plate,
yeah, with like
Mediterranean
cheese
snacks at
and
the beginning.
meat, and it was yeah. And between that and I was able to eat all of that. But I know not everyone. It was too much for some of us. It's because we were all filling up with beer. And do you remember what your favorite beer of the evening was, Beer Wonder?
Oh my goodness! I'll be honest. There are parts of the evening I don't remember, which means I did it right.
Exactly.
But I saved as the dessert beer for myself the Mexican chocolate cake, which I know is how you started
Yeah.
the adventure. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I mean, actually, I started it with the BQE,
Oh, the BQE, right?
the Banana Nut 2020 variant, BQE, which is an imperial stout from Finback, and
Mm-hmm.
it was so great. But you're right. The I would say the Mexican cake was the one that I had more than any other beer that night. And if you want to see that, here's another thing that we mentioned, that it's an open bar, but what we didn't mention is that every time they have a party, it's not just their standard list.
Right.
They have a
correct.
specifically 12 beer curated list that they plan for, at various points the whole year leading up to it. And since they weren't able to have one last year, I'm sure there were ones that they were supposed to have last year that they were aging until today. And so not only do you have an open bar, but an open bar of specifically selected, curated beers. And if you look on our Instagram page at the Beer Vengers, you can see I posted the entire whiteboard there that they had there, and it was quite a feast to behold.
Yeah. Well, I attempted to take the challenge, Captain, to get through the entire 12 beers, and I specifically asked Mama to give me short pours, which was moderately
Mama,
successful.
also known as Mama Sarah.
Exactly, Mama Sarah, yes. Which was moderately successful because they very kindly would just fill up my glass many of the times.
Yeah, that was another different thing they did this year. Was in past years they've been, this is a 5-ounce pour, this is a 12-ounce pour. This one they just gave everybody 12-ounce glasses, and that is your glass for the night.
Yes,
and we got to take it home with us too.
Exactly.
And so you just give it to them, tell them how much to put in there.
Yeah, it was a great system. I know I started off with the Torch and Crown Rainbows Everywhere, which was their New England style IPA.
I had that one
too.
That was really good.
That one was nice. And then I did make sure to try both of the double IPAs that they had. We did wind up kicking the Monkish Conscience Be Free, which was quite delicious, and I think probably my favorite of the doubles that they had.
I don't think I had that one.
Oh,
I probably tasted yours.
You probably tasted mine. Yeah, it was good. It was a very nice, very smooth double, really delicious. But the one that was, I think, the most surprising for a number of us was the Interborough Intertwined Cab Franc, which was the wine barrel aged golden ale, which I think was Huck's favorite. It was done on Cabernet grapes, and it kind of had this reddish color to it. Really good. I definitely tasted the wine character to it in a way I'm not used to in beer.
Yeah,
which was exciting. I love. Says the guy who's currently drinking Fruity Pebbles and edible glitter. I am starting to enjoy a little bit more of that experimentation in beer away from my traditional IPAs. So it was a lovely little adventure that they took us on. Yeah,
I would say the other wine based one that I really liked a lot was the Saint Bernardus barrel aged sour. It had been aged for 3 years, and that also had that really great like sour red wine barrel combination. Yeah. It was really fantastic, and
I think it was like a 10%, wasn't it, Captain?
It is. I'm actually looking at it right now. It is a 10%, and the one you were talking about, the Interborough Cab Franc, was an 8%.
Yeah, that one now is wimpy in comparison to that sour there. I'm not used to a 10% sour. I mean, this guy is only 5, so but yeah, 10% beers are always a bit of an adventure.
And what was also really nice about this, I mean, it was really great being able to be there and seeing Rick, how happy he was to be able to host this, since we haven't been able to have this much fun as a community event together. And for the Beer Vengers, it was a great community event because, I mean, we mentioned the two of us and Huck, but also Cider Girl and Belgian Babe and Wheat Lightning and Nutpool all were there sharing this joy with us, and it was
Exactly,
so nice.
as well as a potential new addition to our team,
Yeah,
which is
I don't Victor.
Victor. Yes, our friend Victor,
Yeah,
who came and joined us at our little seating area. Victor is a from what I gather, he is a regular of the parties that
yes.
Astoria Beer and Cheese throws.
That's what Rick was telling me, that he comes. I mean, he probably has some. He does. Rick says he doesn't see him in the place that often. Maybe at
Okay.
the beginning he did, but he says he never misses one of these parties, and so it was nice to have such a mainstay of them to join us at our table, because it was a nice thing, because it was all assigned seating this time,
Right.
and so there were 7 of us, so we had 2 tables of 4. And Rick said, "Hey, is it okay if I seat Victor with you?" He said, "Yeah, sure. We're all. I mean, it's all. We're all community here."
Yeah, we're all family. We're
And
all friends.
I saw some people there I knew, and I met some new people, and it was just such a wonderful outpouring.
Yeah, and great to celebrate a little bit more normalcy back in our lives, and to to be in a space where I will also say it was hot.
It was very hot.
It was
Yes.
toasty, and there's nothing better than drinking beers late into the evening as the sun goes down in toasty
Yeah.
weather with friends. I also wanted to thank Victor, who after a few beers we were chatting, and was asking me about my history in Gotham City, and I will be, I think this year, an 18-year resident of Gotham. I believe that's where we hit, or something like that. And he declared that I had enough chutzpah to actually call myself a real New Yorker, which was a nice moment of
We
of thanks
affirmed
from-
that.
He affirmed that. Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's just
Okay.
always helpful to have someone who's born and bred be like, yeah, you've got the inner grit to call yourself a real New Yorker. So when you come from the soft hands of the Midwest, it's nice
Well,
when
yes,
New Yorkers
yes.
decide to adopt us into the fold, right, Captain?
Well, yes, absolutely. I mean, because I've certainly met plenty of people who've questioned those bona fides. I'm coming up on 24 years here.
Yeah.
That it's nice to know that, like, okay, we can call ourselves New Yorkers.
Yes.
Because some people are rather pedantic about the whole thing. They like
Exactly.
to say that, you're only a New Yorker if you were born here. I'm like, actually, okay. Can I really say what I really feel about this right now?
Go for it.
I think that in some ways, people who adopt it are in their own way more New Yorkers than the people who were born here,
That's fair.
because we chose it.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing against them. They chose to stay here. They probably never, if you were born here, why would you want to leave? But it's like that it doesn't take much to be born in a place. It takes more to choose to go there.
That's fair. Yeah. And I do think, I know the grit that many New Yorkers, like native New Yorkers, have to kind of claw their way through and keep their apartments and to build up the neighborhoods that they are in. And then to see gentrification happening, I'm sure must be, heartbreaking and infuriating and all
sure,
of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But those that sort of, that choose the city and want to respect it, are definitely here to stay. That said,
it makes sense that we're talking about gentrification after spending a night drinking craft beer and artisanal cheeses. We are part of the problem there.
We are part of, yes, we are absolutely part of the problem. That said, many breweries are doing it right. I mean, I know Bronx Brewery had some major issues a few years ago with their connection to the neighborhoods and not being particularly conducive to that. And they have made amends and they've started hiring more locally. But many of the breweries that have adopted areas and neighborhoods of Brooklyn or in Queens as their own, I don't know quite what's up with Torch and Crown in that whole situation.
Yeah.
As beautiful as they are, I don't know. They're so new. I don't know any of their story, but my buddies down at Five Boroughs certainly hire, and create jobs in the neighborhood and things like that, and use it as an economic engine to maintain some of these spaces.
Right.
And when breweries are able to integrate themselves into that, I think it balances out some of the hipsterness that tends to come along with them.
Yeah, I think it does. I think I never know. By the way, this is our 40th episode, so thank anyone who's been listening to all of them. Anyone who just found us, thank you for. Are we officially middle-aged now? I don't know how it works with because I know with now that we're all speaking about birthdays and ages and years and things. It's funny how when people have infants for a period, they describe them by weeks and then by months, and at some point it's by year plus. Well,
right.
No one ever says, "Oh, so and so is 102 months."
Oof.
Or they're like,
it's concerning. It's very concerning, right?
Well,
there.
yeah. I mean, it was like you say they're 9.5 or whatever that is.
Exactly.
My math is off there, so you can.
No one's counting.
I don't. I didn't think that was worth looking it up on my calculator, but you know what I mean. It's like at some point it happens, I think, around between 2 and 3 where people stop measuring by months.
Yeah, 18 months I've heard. Yeah.
So
but I think when you're 200, like 24 months, I feel like is like you're just like, no, the kid's 2. Okay, just like move on.
Well, I recently described us as 3/4 of a year.
Okay, well that's
because 39 weeks was last week. 39 weeks is exactly 3/4 of a year.
Yeah. So I don't know. Here's the thing: if we're at 40, like, are we supposed to have some sort of like mid-episode crisis or something?
Well,
like
you see,
that?
that's the thing is, I don't know if podcasts age the same way humans do, or if because if we're only at 40 weeks, then we're only we're not even a year.
We can barely talk,
and we're still defining it in weeks, which we guess still will because as long as we keep numbering the episodes. But we could I don't know, maybe we need to go get a fancy sports car. Probably. But although I think life expectancy wise, no matter how much the pandemic might have shifted that a little bit, most people aren't really thinking 40 as full on midlife anymore.
No,
it's usually coming a little bit later.
I sure hope not, because
I don't know if
that number is coming to me quicker than I had anticipated.
I mean, I don't know if I'll live to 106 or not, but I'm still feeling in that sort of like mid age thing there. In fact, I think I saw something recently where they defined it as like some sort of 20-year span.
Okay.
Jeopardy question, I think.
That seems about right for them.
Yeah. But I can't now. Now I'm losing my track as to why I brought that up to begin with.
No, we were talking about gentrification and
sure. And I guess that's the thing. Is like if the gentrifiers are well, I know what I was about to say because sometimes the places. The things that the hipstery places bring are often good things. The only bad things that hipstery places bring are hipsters.
Yes. That's true. It's true. And
because when it comes down to it, if you go to a place and they have like really good, carefully made beer, that's a good thing. You have like good food and drink and other various wares that are there. But if you walk in and it's entirely populated by the people who are looking down at you, or we're thinking you're not cool enough for the room, that's what makes it bad. Right. So it's strange. No hipsters are great until they bring hipsters. Or hipster place, that's a little convoluted. What
exactly.
You know what I mean.
It's a weird circle. It is definitely an unfortunate circle. And it is unfortunate that craft beer has sort of been a part of some of that. But I do hope that many places are taking a slightly more just and equitable way to think about how they're going to engage with communities as they get in there. Bronx Brewery being one that certainly had to do a little bit of that thinking, I believe, during this pandemic. So... or maybe just before. I know that there was a dust up when they took pictures on the Joker stairs in the Bronx with some of their beers, and that caused a huge dust up because people felt like it was stealing from the neighborhood. They hadn't necessarily been hiring locally, and they've definitely made amends. Okay. And it's been a bit since I've been there, but it does sound like, based on what they're putting out and what I'm hearing from some of the Beerstagram, as they call it, they're doing a little bit better with their ways.
Well, clearly we got to go investigate and
naturally
and add that to our list of places we got to check out.
Well, we've done Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens so far. We have not yet hit the Bronx and Staten Island in our post-pandemic with heavy quotes adventures. So
that's true. Although if time allows it and fate plans for it, I'm not done with those other boroughs either. But yes, we definitely need to spend some time in the Bronx.
Oh no, for sure. But it's good.
It's always good to Staten Island.
Yes, our friends in Staten Island.
Our friends in Staten Island. We have many friends. Yes. We focus too much on the people who are not friendly, but we love our friends in Staten Island. So we're going to go visit them as well.
So speaking of friends and gathering with friends, one thing I know I kind of sprung it on you last week because it was sort of a new development, but the springing of the takeout beer laws in New York City, or takeout alcohol laws, to-go cocktails and things like that, has continued to be kind of a touchy subject. And I know you mentioned to me this week you were kind of keeping an eye on that just to see how things were shaking out. So any updates?
Well, I mean, literally hours after we recorded, I became much more educated on the whole thing because I saw the deal was, when you were talking about it, you had just seen it because I think it had just been announced.
Yeah, literally.
The crazy thing is, this is something that's been going on for about a year.
Yeah,
and they had announced there was going to be an end to it, and it was going to be in 2 weeks, so people would be able to hold on to that through the July 4th holiday.
Right.
But all of a sudden, last week they said, nope, it's ending tomorrow. And that has to do with takeout specifically with takeout cocktails, not only to take out from the place, but also to be delivered.
Right.
And I was a little concerned because the first thing I read indicated that might also mean direct from brewery deliveries.
Right. Yes.
And it's bad that they took it away from the other ones. But the good thing about the breweries is they're still allowed to have prepackaged. So I think that maybe if anyone was having growlers delivered, that's probably not going to be okay. Right. That is probably prohibited by the new law. But anything in cans and bottles, you can still have delivered.
Yeah. And so far as we know, at least as of recording this, shipping beer in New York State, which of course had been a way that many of our breweries were making money, especially upstate breweries who are able to now service people in New York City in a different way than they had. That seems to be continuing through. That isn't something that the state wants to get rid of. And I'm sure it has been an economic boon for not only the breweries, but the state as well, because they're getting a lot more tax dollars off of beer.
They are. The only people who are left out of this equation are the distributors.
That's
which
true.
Is sort of, that's always been a kind of, for a long time, been a very corrupt system as well.
Oh, yeah, it was initially from Prohibition. It was to try and slow all our drinking down.
Well, yeah. I don't. Maybe it was to slow our drinking down. They also claimed there's many excuses they gave. They claimed it was also there to hopefully eliminate monopolies, when in fact it just sort of encouraged them.
Right.
Because
exactly.
The only way you can get your beer to a bar or restaurant or a consumer is through a distributor. Right. And that distributor has a warehouse filled to the gills with macro brew. They're not necessarily going to they don't really care if you want a little small space. They might make unreasonable minimums for you to deliver that a microbrewery can't keep up with.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, so the distributors had it coming.
Yeah.
It's and if the breweries can be self-distributing, that's great. More and that's continues to be a controversy all over the country. I read one story about a place in Florida where I think they had a deal where they had to use the distributors, but it was all just fake distributors. Like they would sell their beer to the distributor without actually taking it to them and then immediately buy it back. Because they had to show that rung.
Right, to jump through that hoop. Yeah. Oh, gosh.
But also, I would say the worst part about the repealing these laws are the fact that it happened so last minute.
Yeah.
And of course, this is New York City. Sometimes I really do think we should secede from the state and be our own state, because we are. I mean, we make all the money for the whole state. And yet the people upstate in the state house wield maybe too much power against us as far as making these decisions, because these decisions were made at a state level.
Right. Yes.
And it blindsided not only the businesses, but our local government, because say what you will about Bill de Blasio. He's got his positives, he's got his negatives, but he stands up for the city. I disagree with him where he said that we shouldn't make it permanent, but I agree with him when he said we should have kept this system in place, like at least through next year.
Yeah, agreed. I mean,
it's like we were saying on the show last week, is that it'll be years before some of these businesses recover from this. So if this will help them now, I'm more in favor of keeping to-go cocktails permanent than I am about street dining.
Yeah, well, I'm interested in what will happen with street dining, because I am a huge fan. I think it's great, especially if we're going to continue to have capacity restrictions. And also, I just like being outside in the summer. But for me, the concern is that, it's the same issue I occasionally have with drivers in the city, is that, you're using spaces that are public spaces for, with no additional fee on it, that is sort of an exclusive use to you. And part of the way that the city makes money off of that, of course, is by giving people tickets. So now we've lost some of that ticketed space. So once things shake out a little bit more, I'll be curious to see if we can get a permitting process in place to ensure that these spaces are safe, but also to recoup a little bit of the revenue that the city would have seen in the parking spaces, and also, allow these places to pay a little bit more to have a little bit more space and make a little bit more money. Probably not a little bit, probably a lot more money. If you can imagine, 3 to 4 more tables in a space, 5 in some cases, I'm sure that is a decent amount of revenue for a restaurant. And in the middle of summer, when people probably want to be outside, I'd imagine it would really help them continue to move folks through.
Yeah, and even though this is a city where most people don't have to have cars, I do have sympathy for people. It's also a city where people don't automatically have parking spaces with their residences
Yep.
if they do have a car.
Mm-hmm.
I would also say on top of that, I don't necessarily like eating unless the whole street is closed off. I don't love eating in the street.
Fair.
A backyard is great.
Yep.
Sidewalk dining. Eating in the street is not really my first choice at this point.
Yeah.
Just right next to where the cars go by.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me.
Yeah, that's fair. To each their own. I
came to that over the various experiences I've had over the last years. Like, actually, no, maybe not.
Yeah. I have not done a ton of outdoor dining, but I think part of it is just the appeal of not being in my four walls, something that is a little bit more in the world and outdoors, and you can feel the breeze and you can see sunshine and all that stuff feels very exotic and very exciting and very of humanity, where the last 15 months have been, so indoors and so within four walls.
No, I think as a temporary, I think that absolutely should be allowed to at least go through this whole summer. Mm-hmm. But if I'm going to choose something to sort of eventually transition out of, I could see a case being made for dining on the street.
I can see that. Yep. Where, or if it's going to be kept, I am certainly going to advocate for some version of let's put some rules around this. Let's get some permitting on it and make sure that the city's not losing money on their parking spots. So,
all right. I think at this point, I know Huck's not here with us, but let me just see if I can get an answer. If I just put the answer out to the universe, is like, do you think he would mind if Huck, would you mind if we did? Is it okay if we do some Huck ups without you?
Oh, fuck yeah, my dude.
Oh. Like apparently it's okay. Yeah,
he comes right back. Look at that. Yeah. Amazing.
There it is. All right. So I don't have a lot of hookups. Okay. I don't know if you have any. If you listen to the show, and if you have any for yourself, mine are
100%. But go for it.
Well, mine are fairly brief. I did notice. I know I challenged you a little bit last week about how whether or not tourist was in Greenpoint. Mm-hmm. In fact, it is.
Oh, okay.
It's sort of the lower border of it. It is definitely far away from, say, where Greenpoint Brewing is, but it's right around the corner, kinda from Keg and Lantern, and it's also very close to the Gibson, which is Williamsburg.
Right.
So but it is indeed in Greenpoint. The other thing I said the Pulaski Bridge and the Pulaski Skyway are the same thing. They're not.
Okay.
The Pulaski Skyway is in New Jersey.
Oh,
apparently Pulaski was a Polish-born general from the Revolutionary War who has all kinds of bridges named after him.
Oh,
I don't know if it's exclusively bridges, but there are a lot of bridges and other things, and he just has all those things, and so I just conflated all of them together, and so the Pulaski Bridge is its own thing. The Pulaski Skyway is or was its own thing. I think actually maybe the Skyway may. I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but it's in New Jersey.
It's infrastructure week.
Whatever type of active situation it's in New Jersey.
Right. Well, and I was going to say appropriate though that Pulaski being of Polish heritage with the historic roots, some of the historic roots of Greenpoint, at least in terms of European adventures there, Polish neighborhood.
Yeah.
Traditionally, like they name things after their fellow Poles. And Keg and Lantern, again, one of my favorites, still old Polish place, still serves some Polish beers behind the bar.
Are they cool. Right here? Is there a performance venue there called Warsaw?
I believe so. I know it's nearby, but I don't know specifically where it is.
I think that's where I saw the Violent Femmes a few years back.
Oh, that seems about right.
It was pretty cool.
Also, the name and the Violent, like that actually fits, whether or not there's a Polish connection. But yeah, that fits for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious, Captain, do you have anything you are looking forward to for this coming week? It is July 4th week.
I mean, this is actually really fun. That Huck is having a get-together, Beer Avengers get-together at his place, at his undisclosed to you, but disclosed to the rest of us, location in Manhattan Town.
Yes.
And we are all looking forward to that. And as far as other things, I don't have anything specific on my agenda, but I have a feeling you and I will be able to work a few things out, and we'll talk about those next week.
sure.
And we might even have a new guest next week, depending on how things work out.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: it's a whole new, once you pass 40, it's a whole new world. So
we're just glad you're still showing up when it's just the two of us, and we'll introduce you to some more people as we do. But this has been fun so far, and there'll be more of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, always a delight to day drink with you, Captain.
Yes, a lovely happy day drink, happy birthday drink.
Yes.
Even though it's not our birthdays, we had some wonderful birthday drinks, and Beer Vengers out there in all your I think something like 36 states, 4 countries, parts unknown. Have any questions, any feedback, anything you want to hear on the show, write us at thebeervengers@gmail.com. Reach out to us on the gram at the Beer Vengers, Twitter, Facebook, any place where you can find us. Hopefully we will be able to find you as well. And I believe Huck is going to play us out.
Yeah.
I'll see you soon, everyone.
Bye.
With the beer Vengers, beer Vengers, beer Vengers.
We're the Beer Vengers.